Churchill will be here. This is a regular meeting of the Fairhaven Planning Board. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. At the time of the board reorganization in January of this past year, the board adopted its regular meeting schedule for the year. Notice of the schedule was sent to you and published in the Asbury Park Press on January 6, 2024, and the Two River Times on February 1st, 2024. That notice was also posted on the bulletin board in Borough Hall and has remained continuously posted there as required by the statute. A copy of the notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. A copy of the notice has also been sent to such members of the public as have requested such information in accordance with the statute. Adequate notice having been given, the board secretary is directed to include this statement in the minutes of the meeting. Let's start with roll call, please.
Mr. Borough.
Here.
Mr. Bush.
Here.
Mrs. Koch.
Here.
Mr. Newell. Mr. Paolo. Mr. Rolfe.
Here.
Mr. Nika.
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
Mrs. Bateman.
Here.
Mr. Bailey.
Here.
Mr. Fletcher.
Here. Let's rise to the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'd like to start with the administrative items first, or the administrative item first, and that's the approval of the March 19th, 2024 meeting minutes, which were distributed to everybody prior to the meeting. I don't have any comments other than we did get those attendance that attendance stuff right,
Yeah.
Sheila, just the names and
Yeah.
stuff were so that was the only comment I really had. I was not present at the meeting, so I'm allowed to approve the minutes. I mean, I watched the meeting and so I've done my homework on the meeting, so I can approve the minutes. Is that okay? Okay, so I'll move to approve the minutes if there are no comments.
Second.
Mr. Borough.
Yes.
Mrs. Bush.
Yes.
Mrs. Koch.
Yes.
Mr. Newell.
Yes.
Mr. Rolfe.
Oh, sorry, yes.
That's okay. Mrs. Anthony.
Yes.
Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Fletcher.
Yes. Let's go through the proposed borough ordinance 2022-024-5, which amends chapter 30 form of notice to make the notification of project hearings more transparent for the public. Go ahead. Thank you.
Basically, your role as the planning board with regard to any ordinance that touches upon your development regulations, the master plan, comes before the board. Usually what happens is when the council has a first reading, then there's a 35-day wait period within which the board can review, make comment. We don't approve or disapprove. We just act sort of as the board, as the mayor and council's legislative committee with regard to land use and planning. Our role, strictly constrained, is the ordinance consistent with the master plan and or zoning ordinances? However, we have also, at least on this board, and most of the boards that have, after we make that conclusion, yes, it's consistent. If there are other things that we want to bring to mayor and council's attention, usually that goes into a writing that I have additional areas of concerns and or comments. I recently had one with regard to placement of, this also involved capital review. There was a placement of a monument. The board was a little bit concerned that the way in which it was designed, certainly the monument was in the right location, certainly was consistent with the master plan and zoning ordinances, but they were a little bit concerned that it not appeared to be ADA accessible. Not strictly within our role, but we added that as a comment. This particular chapter, this instance, was brought to our attention because we found out I believe it was from one of our staff members that said that they received a notice, but the notice in that instance only referred to lot and block. It didn't refer to the street address. He brought to our attention and said, you know, I don't even know what my lot and block is. And it just seems to me it would be more transparent if we required both. And the way in which the statute and our ordinance reads is it actually gives you an either or. I believe the underlying purpose for that, or the original reason for the either or, was simply because not so much happens it's not really applicable to Fairhaven, but when you have a major subdivision, you don't yet have maybe even a street address, so all you have is a lot and block. What we've done is added the and, so that now it's going to be lot and block and the street address, so people can see that. And really, you can see the way in which they designed the ordinance, the darkened letter and, there's a struck, it's struck, that's all that's happening. I would suggest to you that notice is one of the clear requirements that you have with regard to the ordinances. Not so much a master plan issue, but notice is part of what you do for the hearings. I don't see anything, at least from my point of view, that is inconsistent with the master plan or inconsistent with the zoning ordinances or regulations.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't have any comments to this. In fact, I thought it was actually probably better, right? I didn't realize it was an either or, and so it's so much better to have the street address, and if they're citizens that want to come to the meeting, they can visit it's easier for them to find, to like get a visual of of the lot.
And it wasn't that we did anything wrong. That's actually how the statute reads in the municipal land use law. And we had pretty much cut and pasted the statute and put it in, but I think it was a good catch by, I think it was Joe that caught it. Brought to our attention. Made recommendations for modification, the mayor and council have acted upon that.
So, I don't, does anyone have any comments with regards to this? Otherwise, we can make a motion to carry as drafted.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to carry it as drafted.
Just after one page paragraph, one paragraph, one page writing, that it's consistent with the master plan, zoning ordinances. Not really want to direct, that's the direction I would receive from the planner.
And that is the direction.
Do you need a second?
Yes.
I'll second.
Mr. Bordelon?
Yes.
Mrs. Bush?
Yes.
Mrs. Hodge?
Yes.
Mr. Ralph?
Yes.
Mr. Nika?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Bledger?
Yes.
Great, so let's take up now the draft resolution from last month's meeting. So I didn't have any comments on this. Like I said, I wasn't present. I reviewed the meeting on YouTube and went through and lined up everything that we asked with the resolution. For those that were there, do you have any comments to this? Do we need any additional clarifications here? Any details that were omitted?
No, I think it.
I covered pretty much summarized everything.
So the only thing, in the conversation, we talked about moving the line between the two lots. So like one would be wider, one would be a little narrower rather than equal. Was that specifically written in here?
That's what you have the new dimensions, and I think you're going to see in findings of fact that it was amended. Let me see if I can find
Page 2.
page 2.
Yeah.
Number
2.
Yeah.
So it says.
As amended during the hearing, those are the new dimensions that were agreed to by the applicant.
The result in that square footage?
Yes,
Okay. So anywhere in this, does it say what the dimensions are?
yes, in paragraph 2.
Just the square feet though, doesn't, you were asking for the 50, so I remember you were talking about the frontage in feet along the front.
So, well, the frontage didn't. I see what you mean. It was as amended, and it's incorporated by reference with the testimony there. The lot size would pretty much define how you're going to do that. And we'll certainly take a look at the map when it comes in to make sure it's consistent.
Okay.
You're arguing, given the square feet that are listed in this resolution, and given the current dimensions of the lot, it will work out to 56
Yes.
on the front of Smith. Okay,
Yes.
and that's the question.
Yeah, because sorry, when I read it, it didn't seem explicit. It seemed implicit with the square footage.
So I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second. Orland,
Yes,
Mrs. Bush. Yes. Mrs. Koch.
Yes,
Hypothetically, if you voted no for the application, you're not allowed to vote in the year.
then
I mean, you're voting yes, but I mean.
I'll vote no then. Still think it's no.
Sure.
Still a
Still a no. from Mrs.
No.
Koch. Mr. Rothmel, right here. Mrs. Antonin,
I voted no, so I'll
no. Mr. Bailey,
Yes.
and Mr. Fletcher.
Yes.
Great, so we have some members of the public here, and so I'd ask that if you have any comments with regards to the planning board or any matters that you come forward now and we can hear you. Nothing, sir? Nothing? Okay. So we're gonna actually go into executive session. And so we're gonna close the meeting to the public at this time.
Yes.
And go into executive session.
Let me frame a resolution. Do you know how long we'll be in executive session approximately?
I hope not more than 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Will we be taking any action other than to close the meeting after that? Or-
We're gonna close the meeting after.
Okay.
that.
Whereas in the Open Meetings Act, the Fairhaven Board, Planning Board, so it's almost going to close the Board of Education. Fairhaven Planning Board has the opportunity to go into closed executive session to the exclusion of the public to discuss certain matters in which confidentiality is required. In this instance, deals in issues of matters of personnel, and to receive attorney-client privileged counsel, if you will. The nature of those matters will eventually, when there is no longer a need for confidentiality, be approved in our minutes. There are going to be minutes taken during the executive session. We'll be in there for approximately half an hour, after which no more action will be taken other than to adjourn the meeting. So it is now approximately 7:45. May I have that motion?
Motion.
Second.
Orland,
yes.
Mrs. Bush.
Yes.
Mrs. Koch.
Yes.
Mr. Roth,
Yes.
Mr. Nicker,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Antonin.
Yes.
Sure.
I'll just close doors.
Okay, thanks.
I got that one closer.
Okay.
Question, I mean, I have, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
Mhm.
I haven't looked at that topic. We do have your
That would
shade
be,
tree group that
Right,
makes
right, right.
recommendations.
right, right.
Yeah, I brought it up to the environmental committee last week because I'm the liaison for the planning board and the
Yeah.
environmental committee, and I just said, you know, at my understanding of the EC is we've taken a pretty low, you know, in terms of what the state mandates, Fairhaven is at the lowest end of that, which I personally don't think is appropriate considering our natural resources around us.
Mhm.
That was the topic that came up, that there is very little repercussion for people that clear cut, much like before, and that was something that I obviously had a problem with.
Mhm.
So I think it's now in the hands of the EC, working with the governing body to figure out like, what does this new tree ordinance look like? How
The
does it?
tree ordinance is sitting with council, isn't it? That's what
No.
Dave told me. Dave said that
Yes,
there's a
it should
tree
be.
ordinance
We haven't gotten it.
sitting
Yeah,
with
I don't think
council.
it's with them yet, so,
No, it hasn't come to us yet.
so there's still like work to be done in terms of what that looks like, but there is none, there is no.
Yeah, see, that's
The
the
council would like the shade tree commission to just take over the trees.
And do it, right,
Yeah,
and get it off.
rather than
I
have
think that's appropriate.
Yeah, when
Seems like
someone is denied the opportunity to take down a tree, they have to come before the council. they definitely should go before the Shade Tree Commission. That's
It
their
doesn't seem
purview.
like a best use of your time in the time that
No.
I've seen it, so it's kind of just in terms of how we get that beefed up a little bit, and then it would apply to the planning and to the,
And the fines are minimum.
Yeah, but just curious to see, yeah, so that was it.
All
All
right,
right, I'll move to close the meeting.
second.
Right.
Thank
That's
you.
that. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Really.
so that's
Oh,
part of-
Like that, you know, if I'm thinking of that, take several drafts to get all the agriculture.
You call it back.